It's midnight. You're watching Nightline. I'm Anita. The top stories. Judges free to make decisions based on facts and law without fear of political consequences. And trial of 2 Malaysians detained without trial at Guantanamo Bay starts on Tuesday. Our headlining story. Judges are free to make decisions based on facts and law without fear of political or social consequences related to decisions made. Unlike politicians, Chief Justice Tun Tengku Maimun Tuan Mat stressed that judges do not have to answer to anyone or be ruled by political pressure or popularity.
Referring to the Attorney General AG's decision to withdraw criminal charges against high-profile individuals previously, Tengku Maimun said the decision may not be well received by the people. In fact, a large part of the fault was later placed on the judiciary after the charges were withdrawn.
A judge is meant to be an independent, constitutional arbiter of justice between the state and its subjects and vice versa, as well as between subjects in the state. His or her loyalties are apparent in a constitutionally ordained judicial oath taken to protect, preserve and defend the federal constitution.
Speaking at the opening of the legal year 2024 in Putrajaya, Tengku Maimun said if the AG decides to withdraw the charges, the court only has one of two very limited options.
Depending on the facts, these two options are either granting an order of discharge not amounting to acquittal, popularly called DNAA, or a discharge amounting to an acquittal, which can be called a DAA.
She said when the charges are withdrawn, the judge who made the only decision there was said to be corrupt, incompetent, or both. Tengku Maimun also expressed her disappointment when people failed to understand that the party responsible for the decision to withdraw the charges is the AG and not the court.
Meanwhile, Tengku Maimun regrets allegations by certain parties that the judiciary has an agenda or motive to eliminate the Islamic legal system in this country. It referred to 2 federal court decisions recently, including the SIS Forum case, which touched the question of whether the Selangor State Assembly had the authority to approve certain Sharia laws.
This is a kind of challenge that is expressly envisioned and catered for by our federal constitution. Unfortunately, these 2 cases were made out by some parties to be more than what they actually were. These cases had nothing to do with the fact of the pure religion of Islam. They merely sought to re-emphasize the clear demarcation of powers between the federation and the state.
She also expressed regret at the actions of certain parties to organize protests to intimidate judges.
At the same function, the AG said the public prosecutor is under no obligation to furnish reasons behind initiating or discontinuing criminal charges. Dato' Ahmad Dariruddin Muhammad Saleh stressed that the prosecutorial discretion of initiating and discontinuing criminal charges is the exercise of lawful discretion by the public prosecutor after a careful scrutiny of all the evidence presented by the investigation bodies and also taking into consideration the requirements of the penal laws and procedure. He said that while discharging this constitutional obligation, the public prosecutor is not bound to furnish any reason whatsoever to any party. He also stressed that the office of the public prosecutor must be allowed to carry out its duties without unnecessary external interference. He added that all stakeholders must therefore understand this and respect the prerogatives of the public prosecutor and must act fairly towards all parties without being selective towards certain matters, which will only result in sheer wastage of time and resources.
The government is looking for a formula to improve governance of approved permit, AP, and import permit, IP, to increase the country's competitiveness. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said this is vital, as it will not only benefit consumers but also local producers, especially in ensuring food supply security for the country.
In a post on his Facebook account, Anwar said that this was among the matters discussed at the National Economic Action Council M10 meeting, which he chaired in Putrajaya on Monday. He added that during the meeting, the Council's first this year, it was suggested that the Auditor General conduct audits for selected sectors to ensure the implementation of AP and IP achieves the set targets and objectives. Aside from this, Anwar said several other matters were also agreed upon, including asking the relevant regulatory agencies to submit improvement methods to the Cabinet to boost efficiency and transparency in the import risk analysis process. In addition, the Malaysia Productivity Corporation, MPC, has been directed to conduct studies and assessments on governance and import of halal products, while the Malaysia Competition Commission, MyCC, has been asked to study the issue of cartels in the import of food-based products. On the Central Database Hub, PADU system, launched on January 2nd, Anwar said the meeting discussed its progress and offered views on the steps to be taken by the relevant agencies, especially regarding data security and ways to increase the number of registrations. To enhance the effectiveness of discussions and decisions, the Prime Minister also agreed to increase the permanent members of M10 by including Investment, Trade and Industry Minister, Datuk Seri Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz, Digital Minister, Gobind Singh Dio, and Second Finance Minister, Datuk Seri Amir Hamzah Azizan. A total of 10 new localities for the release of Wolbachia-infected Aedes mosquitoes have been proposed to address the dengue issue in the country. In a statement read out by Health Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad, Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said this was proposed at Monday's meeting of the Cabinet Committee to combat dengue, and its implementation would cost 4 million ringgit annually.
Melepaskan nyamuk Aedes berwolbachia yang telah pun dilaksanakan di 32 lokaliti melibatkan 7 negeri bermula tahun 2019. Dari ini, sebanyak 19 lokaliti telah lengkap 2 tahun 6 minggu dan penilaian keberkesanan menunjukkan penurunan dengue 45% sehingga 100% berbanding sebelum pelepasan nyamuk berwolbachia ini.
Zahid said that discussions about the locality for mosquito release are being detailed with certain parties, especially the state governments. He said that the Cabinet Committee also proposed the involvement of local authorities. For the record, a total of 123,133 cases were reported last year, compared with 66,102 cases for the same period in 2022, an increase of 86.3%. The number of deaths due to complications from dengue fever was 100 cases last year, compared with 56 deaths for the same period in 2022.
Ini cik orang tu Okey.
Kenapakah kau diciptakan menjadi manusia? Bukankah lebih baik kalau kau dilahirkan menjadi haiwan?
Akibat teruk didera, buah pinggang kanak-kanak malang itu disahkan rosak teruk.
Nak kata bau bangkai pun lebih teruk daripada bau bangkai lagi lah. Sebab mayat dalam proses mereput.
The trial of 2 Malaysians detained without trial for more than 20 years at Guantanamo Bay by the United States authorities starts on Tuesday local time. According to media reports, the trial of Nazir Lip, 46, and Farik Amin, 48, will proceed until February 2nd. It also contains the appeal and sentence for their role in the bomb attacks in Indonesia in 2002 and 2003. The media previously reported the possibility of Nazir and Farik being sent back to Malaysia after the sentences had been passed. The report does not rule the possibility of them being allowed to serve any remaining sentence in rehabilitation in Malaysia. The Malaysian-born drug kingpin arrested in Laos last month is believed to have amassed assets valued at a whopping 190 million ringgit. Bukit Aman Narcotics Crime Investigation Department NCID Director Datuk Seri Kamaruddin Maddin said that the 41-year-old man from Perak had previously been arrested under the Dangerous Drugs Special Preventive Measures Act, and the asset value is based on preliminary seizures during his previous detention.
Dan kita pun telah buat rampasan sebelum ini. Dan sebahagiannya telah kita lucuk hak dan sebahagiannya telah kita pulangkan semula. Nilai dia kalau tak silap saya dalam masa kita buat sitaan tu dalam 190 juta.
Kamaruddin said this to reporters during a media briefing at the Perlis Police Contingent Headquarters in Kanga on Monday. Previously, it was reported that the Malaysian man wanted by the Thai police was arrested in Laos on December 26th and has since been deported to Thailand to face charges in the country. Thai authorities claimed that the suspect played a key role as procurer and coordinator for the drug trade in the Golden Triangle area since 2006 and had been using Thailand for money laundering and as transit points for trafficking drugs to Malaysia, Taiwan and Australia. Meanwhile, police scored a major drug bust in Perlis with the seizure of 528 kilograms of shabu, valued at 19 million ringgit. Kamarudin said the seizure, found hidden in a Federal Reserve Forest area in Padang Besar on January 10th, was the largest drug haul in the state to date and was made following the arrest of a 35-year-old man earlier in the same day.
According to Kamarudin, during the operation, police discovered 20 sacks containing 480 packets of shabu, labelled as Chinese tea, placed on an iron trolley and covered with branches and leaves in the forest reserve. He also said that 3 additional men, aged between 21 and 42, suspected of being connected to the case, were subsequently detained on the same day. Initial investigations revealed that the modus operandi used by these suspects was believed to have involved using rat trails in the area to smuggle drugs.
Mereka ni akan membawa bungkusan ini sedikit demi sedikit dan dikumpulkan di sana sebelum diedarkan ke tempat lain. Kita percaya grup ini telah aktif sejak tahun lepas lagi. So kita sedang dalam siasatan berarti berapa kali sebenarnya grup ini telah pun terlibat dalam aktiviti penyeludupan dadah ini.
Kamarudin said that the police also seized assets belonging to the suspects, including 4 vehicles and 7 motorcycles, valued at over 515,000 ringgit. Authorities added the total amount of drugs seized could be used by 2.6 million drug users, and efforts are underway to track down any remaining members of the syndicate or individuals involved in the case. All suspects have been remanded for 7 days to assist investigations under the Dangerous Drugs Act.
Up next on Nightline, AI to disrupt 40% of all jobs. News from the foreign front when we return. Stay tuned. Jobs around the world could be affected by the rise of artificial intelligence, AI, a trend which is likely to deepen inequality. Thus, International Monetary Fund, IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva called for governments to establish social safety nets and offer retraining programs to counter the impact of AI. She noted that as AI continued to be adapted by more workers and businesses, it was expected to both help and hurt the human workforce. Georgieva also said the effects were expected to be felt more deeply in advanced economies than emerging markets, partly due to the higher vulnerability of white-collar workers compared to manual labourers. She added AI could replace tasks currently performed by humans, potentially reducing the demand for labour, affecting wages and leading to job displacement. Denmark turned a page in its history on Sunday as Queen Margaret abdicated the throne and her son became King Frederik X. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen publicly proclaimed the king's succession from the balcony of the palace. Frederik followed with a short speech before being joined by his Australian-born wife, Queen Mary, and their 4 children, including the Crown Prince Christian, the new successor to the throne. The hugely popular 83-year-old Queen signed a declaration of abdication at Christiansborg Palace, ending her 52-year reign and automatically making her son monarch. This is only the second time a Danish sovereign has stepped down. The last one was Erik III almost 9 centuries ago in 1146. The world could have its first trillionaire within a decade. In its annual assessment of global inequalities, anti-poverty organisation Oxfam International said that it believes the gap has been supercharged since the coronavirus pandemic. Oxfam, which for years has been trying to highlight the growing disparities between the super-rich and the bulk of the global population during the World Economic Forum's annual meeting, said the report showed that the world is entering a decade of division. The group also said the fortunes of the 5 richest men have spiked by 114% in real terms since 2020, when the world was reeling from the pandemic. By contrast, the organisation said nearly 5 billion people have been made poorer since the pandemic, with many of the world's developing nations unable to provide the financial support that richer nations could during lockdowns. Israeli forces bombarded targets across Gaza on Monday as Hamas prepared to announce the fate of 3 Israelis taken hostage 3 months ago and shown in a video clip at the weekend. 12 Palestinians were killed and others wounded in an Israeli airstrike overnight on a house in Gaza City in the north, while plumes of smoke rose above the main southern city of Khan Yunis, shelled by Israeli tanks. Numerous overnight raids were also seen in the occupied West Bank, with 2 Palestinian teenagers shot dead and dozens of students arrested. According to Palestinian authorities, the death toll in the enclave has passed 24,000. Earlier, the heads of 3 major UN agencies said aid delivery is hobbled by the opening of too few border crossings, a slow vetting process for trucks and goods going into Gaza, and continuing fighting throughout the territory. We're back with sports news now. The AFC Asian Cup. Palestine conceded a goal after just 64 seconds in their Group C opening match as they bowed 1-4 to Iran on Monday.
A brief moment of silence was held before kickoff, the quiet punctuated by cries of Free Palestine. Karim Ansarifard gave Iran the lead in the opening minute when he rattled the ball into the bottom corner. Shoje Khalizadeh doubled the lead 10 minutes later after he swept home from close range following a free kick. Mehdi Gayedi made it 3-0 in the 38th minute before Tamer Sayam headed in the only goal for Palestine in the final stroke of half-time. Iran secured their win with their fourth goal just 15 minutes after the break, thanks to AS Roma's Sada Azmoun's strike. Palestine's next game is on Friday against the UAE, while Iran will play Hong Kong the following day. In another match, VAR calls helped the United Arab Emirates, UAE, to clinch a 3-1 win against Hong Kong in Group C on Sunday. The UAE were up front in the 34th minute after Sultan Adil Al-Amiri converted a penalty following a review through the VAR. Hong Kong levelled the score 4 minutes after the break when Philip Chan bundled home Everton Camargo's cross. The UAE then regained the lead almost instantly through Zayed Sultan as he slotted into an unguarded net 3 minutes later. The VAR checks once again favoured the UAE as a referee pointed to the spot in stoppage time, only for Yahya Al-Ghassani to convert and seal a comfortable 3-1 victory. With this result, the UAE stood second in the group, sharing the same points as Iran.
On to tennis now, the 2024 Australian Open. Daniil Medvedev survived a scare as he fought back from a set down to beat Terence Atman, who was forced to retire due to cramps in the first round on Monday.
Third-seeded Medvedev battled tough conditions on Margaret Court Arena to win 5-7, 6-2, 6-4, 1-love against Atmani, who suffered bad cramping that forced him off the court. The Russian will face Finland's unseeded Emil Rusivori in the next round on Thursday. In another match, Stefano Tsitsipas powered his way into the second round with a 5-7, 6-1, 6-1, 6-3 victory over lucky loser Zizou Bergs. The determined right-hander took 2 hours and 59 minutes to see off the 24-year-old Belgian, who replaced Matteo Berrettini in the draw. In the women's singles event, Wimbledon champion Marketa Vondrousova crashed out of the competition after a straight sets defeat to qualifier Diana Yastremska in the first round. The world number 7 was completely outplayed by Yastremska of Ukraine, who ran out with a comfortable 6-1, 6-2 victory in just 76 minutes.
We're going for a quick break, but when Nightline returns, Umrah package company charged with non-compliance of CCT awards. Stay tuned. Welcome back. A company offering Umrah packages and two of its directors were charged at the Putrajaya Magistrates Court on Monday with failing to comply with the Tribunal of Consumer Claims' award to repay more than 500,000 ringgit to 21 victims last year.
Syarikat Imraz Travel and Tour Sdn Berhad, represented by its directors, Dato Dr. Zulkarnain Indut, 43, and his wife, Mazwin Mustafa, 43, as defendants, pleaded not guilty to the charges read before Magistrate Irza Zulaika Rohanuddin. Under the first to 63rd charge, in accordance with Section 117, subsection 1 of the Consumer Protection Act 1999, the company and both directors are charged with 63 counts of not complying with the tribunal's award dated June 8th and August 25th, 2023, instructing the company to repay 589,031 ringgit to 21 victims who are the plaintiffs. Magistrate Irza Zulaika set bail at 6,300 ringgit for each of the accused and ordered them to surrender their passports and report into the Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Ministry office every month. She also set February 26th for case mention. The licence of the company in question, Imraz Travel and Tour Sdn Berhad, was reported to have been suspended for 6 months, effective July 10, 2023 to January 9, 2024, after police announced receiving 399 reports about fraudulent Umrah packages offered by the company on November 29th, with losses estimated at 14.2 million ringgit since January 2023.
Over in Kedah, 3 men pleaded guilty at the Alor Sessions Court on Monday to separate charges of using false documents to illegally reduce duties for luxury cars purchased by non-residents on the duty-free island of Langkawi. The accused entered their pleas after the charges were read before Judge Rohatul Akmal Abdullah, who fixed sentencing for Tuesday. Former warehouse manager 47-year-old Muhammad Noor Hussain was charged with 2 alternate counts of using a falsified declaration dated May 6, 2014 and a falsified customs form. The offences were committed at the Langkawi District Customs Office in Tanjung Lembong Dock, Langkawi on May 21, 2014 and June 1, 2021. Another 10 alternate charges involving false documents are also being taken into consideration under Section 171A of the Criminal Procedure Code. The second accused, 36-year-old Muhammad Khairul Subri, who works as a runner, faced 2 charges of using a falsified customs form at the same location on separate occasions in April 2021. Meanwhile, self-employed Fairul Ismazi Isha, aged 46, was charged with using a falsified customs form also at the same location on November 22, 2021. The charges were framed under Section 471 of the Penal Code, which is punishable with a maximum jail sentence of 2 years or fine or both upon conviction. The court granted a 20,000 ringgit bail for Muhammad Noor, followed by 10,000 ringgit bail for Muhammad Khairul and 5,000 ringgit bail for Fairul. Previously, it was reported that the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, detained 7 individuals for illicitly reducing luxury car duties, resulting in a staggering loss of over 33 million ringgit in tax revenue for the government. As we wrap up Nightline this time around, we take a look as fireworks light up the sky over Copenhagen's Tivoli Gardens in honour of Denmark's new King Frederik X. With that, I'm Anita Wu. Thank you for tuning in and be well, Malaysia.